Network recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios, Meanjin, Brisbane.
On 102.1 FM.
And broadcast across Australia on the Community Radio Network.
You're listening to Zed Games.
Zed Games brings you the best in gaming news, reviews, community and culture.
Want to reach out?
Share your hot take?
Or do you just want to share your favourite game?
Find us on socials at Zed Games AU.
Hello, party people! Woo!
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
This is Zed Games. I'm your host, Paul. Joining me tonight are my good friends, Peter.
Hello.
And Cam.
G'day.
And tonight we will be talking about all sorts of things, mostly video games, but probably also just some rubbish, because that is how we roll.
That's how we do it.
Mm-hmm. That is how we do it.
Professionalism is for suckers.
I'm sleepy.
I can tell by your low energy.
I've had no coffee today, yet somehow I'm still awake.
Wow.
I know.
I still haven't, as an adult, I haven't made the switch to coffee. I just haven't. Every once in a while I have a good one and I'm like, oh, maybe I should do this more often. But
No.
it doesn't take. Does not take. So, gentlemen,
Yes.
if I may establish you as such, how's our gaming lives at the moment?
It's full of sheep and llamas, and I couldn't be happier about it.
I wasn't interested, and now I am. No, I watched a trailer for your review game coming up sort of idea, and I'm just like, this is just fun.
Yeah.
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 And I'm excited to try it out and hear your review.
Yeah, so to not be too secretive
Vague.
about it, this is the new collection based on Jeff Minter's games.
Llamasoft, the Jeff Minter story.
Yes, who most of you, I'm going to assume, but we're not alive for a lot of.
Well, if you don't know who we are, stay tuned, or see me at the Brisbane Street Mall every weekend, where I'll be throwing out copies and screeching about how great he is, like some kind of evangelical.
That's why it's the Screech Mall, because you screech.
I will. I'll be screeching.
Fabulous. Before we screech more and more about all sorts of shenanigans, we're going to listen to some news this week brought to us by the lovely Toby.
Aww.
Thank you, sir. And here we go.
This week in gaming news, Toriyama tribute, layoffs and shutdowns, and some gaming bites. Thank you, Toriyama. This week, the world of manga and gaming bids farewell to a creative luminary. Akira Toriyama, the writer and illustrator most known for his beloved Dragon Ball series, has passed away. However, Toriyama's legacy extends far beyond the pages of his iconic manga. His artistic genius also leaves an indelible mark on the gaming industry. From the legendary Dragon's Quest series, where he worked on every installment of the series, to the time-travelling epic Chrono Trigger. Toriyama's character designs breathed life into the pixelated heroes we have grown with and love. On the 8th of March, Toriyama's production company, Bird Studio, published the sad news that he had suffered a subdural hematoma earlier this month that claimed his life. Fans worldwide will remember Toriyama for his boundless creativity, his iconic art style, his Saiyan warriors, and the Dragon Quest slime. Layoffs and shutdowns. This week, Deviation Games, a company which has been working on a new AAA IP in partnership with PlayStation, has been caught in the wake of SAE's downsizing. The company is trying to find jobs for the roughly 130 employees who are now added to the 900-odd employees searching for work that were cut late last month by PlayStation. In stranger news, Warner Bros. Discovery has reached out to developers of their Adult Swim games to tell them that their Adult Swim titles will be removed from digital services. While the developers desperately search for ways to keep their games online, Warner reps state that they are unable to transfer ownership to the developers due to logistical and resource constraints. Developers of games such as Sound Dodger Plus and First Puncher have been advised that the games will be removed from sale within the next 60 days. For a full list of games that may be affected, click through the links on our website, zedgamesau.net. And now for some gaming bites. In the wake of the monetarily successful release of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, it would behove Nintendo to do another one. So, they are. On March 10, or Mario Day, Miyamoto announced on Nintendo's X account that a new, bright and fun Mario movie will be coming to the big screens April 3rd, 2026.
Wahoo! Let's go.
Okay.
Earlier this week, Dragon's Dogma 2 released its character creator ahead of its March 22nd release. And it's got more sliders than sense, in a good way. Players have moulded characters in their own likeness, and some more famous ones, such as Emo Spider-Man Tobey Maguire, Walter White, Scooby's Shaggy, William Dafoe, Handsome Squidward, and even a cursed Pikachu. Click through the links on our website to see more, if you dare. In an interview with GameFile, CD Projekt Red's game director Gabe Amatangelo confirmed that Cyberpunk 2077's development cycle after the disastrous 2020 release is finally over with the recent 2.12 patch, and now the team is ready to move on to bigger and better things.
It's done. Yes, Mr. Frodo. It's over now.
And now finally, some upcoming game releases. Friday, March 15, save some future aliens in Outcast New Beginnings, coming to PC and next-gen consoles. Tuesday, March 19, farm the future in Lightyear Frontier on PC and Xbox Series S and X, or alternatively, play and manage a baseball team in MLB The Show 24, coming to consoles. Wednesday, March 20, play as your favourite horror daddy, David Harbour, in a Lovecraftian horror love letter to the original Alone in the Dark, coming to PC and next-gen consoles. And Thursday, March 21st, grab your mobile because Call of Duty Warzone Mobile is coming to iOS and Android. And speaking of ports, Horizon Forbidden West Complete Edition is coming to PC. Midnight Ghost Hunt for PC is coming out of early access. And lastly, face your horror with a faithful doggo. Shines Over the Damned is coming to PS5. And that's all this week in gaming news.
Thank you for that, Toby. It was very insightful. Now, while we were talking about Toriyama, and we don't really know him as none of us have followed him as a personal person. But Cam here, hello Cam.
Hi.
Hi, Cam.
Did say that, well, he probably paid his taxes. So I looked that up, and apparently he was evading his taxes.
Oh.
So, a well-deserved death, man.
You can
No.
quote us on
No,
that.
no, just quote me on that because I'm old and I'm also likely to die.
There were
soon.
parades in a Mexican city or something for him,
Yeah,
Like
weeaboos are everywhere.
not to celebrate his death, but to celebrate his life.
I'm gonna start phrasing all all gatherings just of people celebrating someone's life as they're all celebrating their death.
Yep.
Like Margaret Thatcher. Yeah.
Well, that was worth celebrating.
We
should point out he allegedly didn't pay his taxes.
Oh yeah. I have no facts on this. Like this is everything's alleged here. We don't know who paid taxes or not. We don't know who photoshopped pictures of their family, or indeed who is. Oh, you don't know about all this?
No.
Okay, so I don't know a lot about the royal family and Kate Middleton, but she posted a picture of her and her children, and the hands are a bit weird. But they're also sometimes pictures just look a bit weird.
But
Sometimes they do.
Yeah.
Her children are AI generated.
Probably,
So-
yeah.
No, they're not
So,
AI generated. They are AI.
Yeah. So someone asked about it. I did all the close-ups of the hands. I go, "What does this mean, Paul?" I'm like, bad picture. It could be. It also just could be bad. I always like the focus on hands. I mean, especially when it comes to drawing. I mean, I can't draw hands. AI is so much better at it than I am.
That's why
And yeah.
all my characters wear boxing gloves.
Yes, and also upcoming release-wise, this week's got a couple of continuations of old series that I'm both excited for and are not willing to be excited for.
Oh.
So new Outcast, and I loved the original.
They did Hey Ya, right? No.
They shook it.
Oh, okay.
They shook it like a voxel-based landscape.
Gotcha. Okay.
And there are no voxels in the new one. So, and then the new Alone in the Dark, which is a very, very up and down series.
Oh yeah.
But the granddaddy of horror.
I do like how in the new Alone in the Dark you can buy the skins that make it look like the original PC game with 4 polygon characters.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
That does sound kind of fun because I
that's
don't
why
really
I was-
want to play David Harbour, but I would like to play an old low polygon Englishman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a tweed jacket.
Yeah. Good times. Yes, I think it was a year or two ago that they finally admitted that yes, Resident Evil was based on Alone in the Dark. It's like, well, yes, because it's the same thing and it came out afterwards.
Yeah. It was a very direct copy.
And
allegedly.
And I also
Allegedly.
no, they admitted it now.
Oh,
But
okay.
also, I will go on the record, and I don't even particularly like the original Resident Evil. It is better than Alone in the Dark. Alone in the Dark is, seminal, important work, but it is janky.
And no one remembers Ecstatica, which came out before. You will. No, I see the glint in your
literally,
eyes.
Ecstatica 2 is my, number one game that I bring up. The fact that you just brought up Ecstatica, look, everyone, I'm going to need to take a break. I'm going to have to go to another room and cool down, maybe get some ice.
You're listening to Zed Games at 4ZZZ.
You're listening to Zed Games on 4ZZZ.
You're listening to Zed Games at 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 4ZZZ.
You're listening to Zed Games on 4ZZZ.
You're listening to Zed Games at 4ZZZ.
Zed Games. I am
we
your
are.
host, Paul. Joining me is Peter and Cam, and now Cam's got something very special for us.
That he
It's a review about old things.
We love doing reviews about games, and I know it's going talking about.
Why don't you do a high note,
Soft
Peter?
ones. I can't do high notes.
What do you mean?
Here,
No.
Somebody squeeze him. Squeeze him.
That doesn't
I've been
make it
doing that
go
all day.
higher. That just goes louder.
Okay, Cam, what are you reviewing for us today?
Oh, well, I am so excited. I am so pumped. I am reviewing Llamasoft, the Jeff Minter story.
Woo! Okay, I'm just going to turn down Cam's mic for a second. So Cam is a fanboy, what we call an utter fanboy. So do take that with a gram of now, Cam. Now that I've given that disclaimer, I will turn the microphone back up.
And that's why I can't buy a gerbil.
Yeah.
Okay, look, I will actually address this right at the very start, right? Okay, so usually us game reviewers, we make a big show about being unbiased. We're looking like we look at new releases objectively and even-handedly. I cannot and I will not do this with Llamasoft, the Jeff Minter story.
I have so many biases. I'm just honest about them.
All right, and this is like, Jeff Minter means way too much to me for me to even pretend to be objective. So you might remember a couple of months ago I talked here about the making of Karateka, which Digital Eclipse did an interactive documentary about Jordan Mechner's journey developing his first Breakaway hit. I wasn't even much interested in Karateka before I played it, but because of the way they wove a story around all the early games he made, his notes and his stories about his life back then, by the end of it I was really emotionally invested in not just the game, but the creator behind it. So, Digital Eclipse next release in their Gold Master series focuses just on Jeff Minter's game development life from the early 80s to the mid-90s. This is pure catnip to me. I am so excited. I have been hyping about this for months.
Yeah. So this was amazing. So when it came up in PR, I was like, oh, hey, Cam, I got this notice. Do you want me to request a key for it? He's like, oh, God, yes. Oh, God. Then over the next few weeks, it becomes apparent that not only do you know everyone involved, but you also know Jeff Minter. I'm like, well, just ask them for a goddamn key. What do you need me?
Well, it's a long story. I knew these guys as friends. I don't want to hit them up for, stuff. Look, I should explain who Jeff Minter is first, before everyone in the audience is like driving home going, well, who's this
he
Jeff
really
Minter guy?
kicks the llama's ass.
Well, Winamp did rip off Minter's work when they put that in, but that's a whole other story. Look, Jeff Minter is the man behind Llamasoft. He's a British game programmer who started making games in the early 80s on ultra-primitive home computer systems like the Sinclair ZX81 and the Commodore VIC-20. Most of his games are arcade-style shooters with a focus on flashy colours, and I do mean really flashy. Like, there's an epilepsy warning at the start. They are not kidding around. Like, this thing will just melt your eyeballs if you're not careful. And fluffy animals. He's still in the business today, having over 70 releases to his credit, and he's currently working on new stuff for modern systems, especially with VR. Like, he's doing some awesome stuff with VR. Polybius was just mind-melting. I loved it. He is also legitimately my absolute hero in life. He's a guy who just made stuff for himself. We were just talking about how it's great to make games for yourself, right?
Make something you want to play.
He taught me how to do that. He made games his own way, based entirely on what interested in him at the time. Usually this involved old school arcade shooters and camels and llamas and sheep and psychedelics. The vast majority of Llamasoft games are self-published, which showed me early on how important it is to own and control your own work.
Oh, yeah.
And through this collection, you see how he has continually refined and developed his credit, which is a hell of a work ethic to aspire to and taught me a lot growing up. But most importantly, he was like the coolest person I never met, and I wanted to grow up and be like him, and I still absolutely do.
When you grow up, Cam.
If I grow up. And frankly, looking at me, it's a 50-50 chance. So Llamasoft, the Jeff Minter story, is much more than a collection of old games running through emulation. Most of his games he released as freeware now anyway. His old stuff, he's like, you can just play it on an emulator if you want.
I just want you to play it.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Like, he's passionate about people playing his stuff. But this has videos and interviews and behind-the-scenes stuff that illustrates how much care and love Jeff puts into every single one of his games. And it's the passion that connects him to his fans. Like, he is really, always from the very start, really interested in connecting with people who play his stuff because there's stuff they got in common. They have similar tastes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to hang out with, like, people that like the same stuff I like. You know, my favorite part is how it includes the newsletters and magazine columns where he'd talk about the new games he was playing and new music he was listening to and his adventures around the world. It was like getting a letter from an older brother telling me about a world beyond the suburb I was living in on the wrong side of the planet. He definitely shaped my taste in music and games and opened my eyes to how weird and wonderful video games could be if you put creative people in positions of power and being able to make creative decisions. And if you look beyond the top 10. So, of course, it's the games themselves that are the main focus in Llamasoft, the Jeff Minter story. There's over 40 releases on here, ranging from the dawn of the 80s with games like Centipede, which is a clone of Centipede. But Jeff had never actually played Centipede before he started making it. He'd just seen screenshots of it. So he based the game on what he thought the game played like. And it was different from the arcade because he didn't realize you can move up and down. It's adorable. And then it goes all the way through to what many people would consider his biggest mainstream hit, Tempest 2000 on the Atari Jaguar, which was a 3D web shooter game where you zap into the screen and
sort of like tunnel-basedy. Yes. Going down different lanes and geometric and a bit LSD.
Yes, very much. I love the fact that I can now play one of my favorite Commodore 64 games, Sheep in Space, on the Switch. I love the fact that I can now play one of my favorite Atari ST games, Llamatron 2112, on the Switch. I love the fact that I can now play literally the only good Jaguar game, Tempest 2000, on the Switch. I'm going to have
to check you're working on that, but it sounds right.
Trust me. There is so much good stuff in here. What I especially love is that this isn't just a collection of old games. It's an interactive documentary. It's got photos of where Minter grew up and worked, showing him at early trade shows and other paraphernalia to illustrate what it was like being in the UK game development scene in the 80s. Not a lot of game history stuff covers this scene, right?
No, and it was huge. Like, I've done a bit of research and a few interviews with people from that generation as well, and it's just like it's a big gap in most, like, there's now thankfully some academics that are writing more about it. Yeah, and actually when you were talking about like his old articles and like that's gold. Yeah, like that just really captures the time, and that's how communication was just done then. And it's like, it's very one-sided. It's like old Carmack's old little
his plan files.
His plan files.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. Yeah, right. There's also some incredibly well-made videos where Jeff talks about how his games were made, and the story goes, like, there's an emotional run-through through the whole thing. It's not just a set. There's a story that runs through it about how he's gone from being a bedroom coder to being a rock star, and then the industry starts to coalesce and get harder to make a hit in, and then his fans come together and save him.
Now he's more of like a farm star.
He's a farm star. And bless him. You can see both Jeff and his work evolve as he gets more confident in his abilities and pursues what interests him the most. It's also, an interesting look back at the era. Even back then, he was railing against big corporations pushing in on games and making them just soulless products, and how it was making it hard for indie game developers like him to get an audience. He's the only indie game developer from that era that's still working, right? Like,
it's still working and could be considered independent in some way that hasn't moved into like studios and everything.
Absolutely. Like,
that still kept that spirit because most people were doing experiments and then they got real jobs.
I Oh, sorry about that.
I hate wheel jobs.
Yeah, so it's the story that runs through Llamasoft, the Jeff Minter story. It's about how a lone developer just wanted to make games and connect with people who liked the same things as he liked, and how he survived working in an industry that even back then was getting increasingly corporate. That was 30, 40 years ago he was worrying about this stuff. Many of the games are enhanced for this release too, which is great because it's not just an emulation dub. They actually put some care and attention to it. There's twin stick support in Llamatron 2012. Color Space, which was his incredibly innovative and influential light synthesizer. Like you put a disc into an Xbox 360 and colors come up on the screen. That was him. Like, he made that, right? And he ended up making that back in the 80s on
I was looking at the original like demo scene release of it upcoming to this, and I'm like, oh, that is just incredible work for the period, and like just the color space in that, and the movement of the animation, and I was just like, wow, this is insane. And I mean, I think we'd have to do a whole episode explaining the demo scene to audience that doesn't know what that is.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's how,
and I'm happy to do it,
and we'll do it too.
Yeah, like in the color space version here on the Atari, the Atari computers, they've added extra video modes and music that weren't possible on home computers. So you can play it in the original like 8-bit version, or you could play it in widescreen and with like full colors and interacting with the music, and it's really trippy and cool. Tempest 2000 has a 60 hertz mode and analog controls, which makes one of the best shooters made even better. And to top it all off, there's Grid Runner Reimagined, which is a very cool graphic overlay on top of the Commodore 64 version of Grid Runner. And you can switch
the switch? Yeah.
You can switch back and forth all the time, so it is just the C64 game. There is so much care and respect shown to each of the titles on show. There's only 3 issues I had with this release. The first one, there is no easy solution for. It's like putting together like the best of the Rolling Stones album, right? What do you leave out?
Yeah. Even
with 42 titles in this thing, there is still so much left out. Especially on the stuff he did for the Amiga and the Atari ST and the PC and stuff like that. But I get the why it would have been nice. But hey, I get it. The full-on light synthesizer program Tripitron hasn't been included, but frankly, there was no way you can get that working on a console. I get it. The second issue is that I love the inclusion of all the articles he wrote for Zap 64 magazine, talking about what it's like working in the industry back in 1985. But he did dozens more for other publications, I know, because I have a wardrobe full of the darn things that are killing me. The last little one is that the games don't automatically save high scores, which it feels like a small point, but when there's so many games here that are about getting a high score, it would have been nice. That does seem like an odd oversight. Yeah, you get around, like you load and save your game, so you just go, save the game after you finish, and that's fine. I really hope that even people who have no idea who Jeff Minter is can try Llamasoft, the Jeff Minter story out, and learn not just about his work, but also why he's so beloved in the industry. Like, there's very few people that are, like, actually respected. You try working in the business for, like, more than 5 years.
I don't respect anyone.
And frankly, I don't blame you.
No.
He's a visionary. He's a rock star. He's the first indie developer, and he's still doing his thing. Surrounded by sheep and a llama and a goat and his partner on a farm in Wales, the story is still going, and he won video games for me. Llamasoft, the Jeff Minter story, is out now on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Nintendo Switch, and PC through Steam and GOG. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.
Yay.
I like playing someone out while they're still just trying to rap out. That is...
I feel like I was on the Oscars.
I feel like I've got real Oscar power with that.
Don't look at the back of my dress.
No. I actually will probably dip into that just for the documentary content.
It's
honestly.
So good. Yeah. There's a documentary coming up called The Heart of Neon, which is about Jeff and his partner Giles working on this new synthesizer that this release takes a lot of video from.
It
gives you a real good taste for it.
We also had Carolyn just write into us to say that they have just tuned into the Old Man episode.
Wow.
Sorry about that, young whippersnappers. This is Zed Games.
Yes.
I am Paul, and joining me, Peter and Cam. And right now, it's time for another review! Yeah! Down and up and down. That's what you do with a yo-yo. That's all I got.
You do with a yo-yo?
You can walk the dog. Hey!
Go around the world.
Okay, we are going to talk about Penny's Big Breakaway.
Yes.
Now, this has been a little bit of a current sort of little cult hit come out. This is from the team that brought us what not that controversially, I will describe as the best 2D Mario game, Sonic game, sorry. Sonic Mania. But more controversially, I will describe as the only good 2D Sonic game.
And I would like to point out that is our quota for Sonic talking in this episode.
Yes, actually, for the semester of radio. Sorry, Zara, no more Sonic.
Oh, well.
Yeah, we've finished. We've used it all up.
Very sad.
Anyway, so now this is the team. Instead of doing Sonic Mania 2, they have gone on and they've gone into 3D platformers.
Oh,
and it is a interesting beast indeed. You play Penny, and it's the old story. You are a talented young yo-yo artist who meets a sentient yo-yo who goes to impress the king at an audition, but the sentient yo-yo steals the king's clothes, so you're considered a felon and chased down by penguins.
Sounds like a Tuesday.
Yeah. That old bean. Anyway, so, light story, very silly. The game is incredibly bright, it's quite sort of hyper-colored, getting into, a lot of people compare it to sort of a Saturn art style. Very circusy, I'd almost say. Now, what they have done is they have not really copied anyone else's approach to 3D platforming. Obviously, we understand moving in 3D and jumping and such like that. You're getting complex jumping close to like a 3D Mario game where you have a whole move set and you can string it all together. But interestingly, and maybe more controversial for me, but maybe not others, you do have no camera control.
Oh,
which
good.
It has been a mixed bag. So I started the game, and the levels are actually it's more about speed running, which takes it towards like that Sonic level, about learning levels, getting better scores, and then making perfect runs. But also, you're supposed to get a few hidden collectibles. So with a fixed camera, you walk into an area, you actually can't see what's on the sides of you. So if you want to actually check those areas, you just have to pointlessly walk there. Now, most of the time, there's nothing there. And eventually, I said, like, you know what? I'm going to trust the game isn't just going to put stuff pointlessly where I can't see. And as soon as I started doing that, I started missing a few collectibles. So I'm like, oh, you haven't quite got the balance right. Now, maybe my eyes just need to like pick up the clues a little bit better. But the fact you can't swing the camera around and look is like, it really slows down the pace on your initial run through levels where you're like, I just got to walk to every corner of this room just to make sure there's nothing in it. So that's a small niggle. The big focus of this game is movement, and movement is king in 3D games. So you have a jump, double jump. You can throw your yo-yo out and swing on it like you can grab things with it. You use a dash with it, and then you can also roll on it, sort of like a unicycle. And this is where we also get a bit of, let's say, Tony Hawk in there. Not a trick system as such, but you can combo and have it not unbroken through an entire level.
Oh, wow.
That's what people will try to do. If you're really getting into this game, that's going to be your focus. It's not really about fighting enemies. The only real enemies are these swarms of penguins that chase you down in certain areas, and they jump on you and you can just dash and they pop off. They're more of an annoyance than anything else. So it's learning the levels and then kind of getting into a bit speedrunny with it. But if you're someone like me and that generally isn't your what you love in 3D games, mine's normally about clever platforming and exploration, it doesn't really satisfy that itch. Speedrunning, like something like Neon White, I really got into. But this just didn't quite grab me. There's nothing particularly wrong with it, other than, well, this isn't wrong. The movement system is quite different, which is good, but also being that does take a little while to master to really be able to string those moves together. And also, being a fixed perspective in 3D does mean sometimes the angle isn't exactly what you want to know what depth you're going with a jump. And as you learn levels, that's fine. But your initial, I did do quite a few jumps into canyons of nothingness, and you just appear at the beginning again. It's not a huge punishment, but yes, that's why we have free cameras in 3D games, so we can turn it and see what the distance actually is, because that is hard to communicate. Always has been.
The shadow.
Always will. Yes, but you still have to get above it in the first place to see the shadow.
That you do.
Yes, that was a recent game I played, didn't have a shadow. I'm like, is this broken? And the devs responded, yes. Because no one is crazy enough to do that. The presentation is really good. It's really slick. The bosses are really fun. The music is wonderful. You're really just picking up from that vibrant sort of old school console game that they did with Sonic Mania previously. Very solid game. Not quite for me personally, but if you are a Sonic nerver, I think it actually scratches that itch very well. And if you're into sort of a bit more of like perfecting runs, that sort of concept.
Yeah.
Yep. So that is Penny's Big Breakaway, which is available on pretty much everything for like $50-ish.
Sure. That was a review. You heard it here. Listen to Penny's Big Breakaway. It doesn't rhyme.
Yay. I'm going to give myself a golf clap again. It's a good sound effect. This is Zed Games. We are about to wrap up this show. It's been a lovely evening, gentlemen.
Sure has.
I bet it has.
This has been Zed Games. I've been Paul. That's been Cam.
True.
That's been Peter.
That it has.
We bid you all adieu. Have a lovely night, and we'll catch you all later.
Bye. Love you.
We love you.
Bye. Play games.
Thanks for listening to Zed Games.
If you'd like to listen to more, you can find us on the Community Radio Plus app.
Or find us on socials at ZED Games AU.
See you next time.